So I did one part on how to write a song, and I said to use GCD. So if you're trying to learn how to write songs and you didn't watch that video, watch part 1. And I showed how to make up a song using GCD, because I think those are the easiest chords to learn, and I wrote it down on a piece of paper. So after you can do GCD, then the next thing you want to do is start to learn how to use minor chords. And one of the minor chords, in each key there's 3 major chords and 3 minor chords that sound good together. So one of the minor chords is used much more frequently than the others, and I'll talk more about that in a later video. But for right now, the chord is going to be E minor. So first thing I would do is really make sure you can make up a song with GCD. Because if you can't do that, then just starting to add more chords just makes it harder. So I'm in standard tuning. And something else I talked about is it's really important to record yourself. So if you have an iPhone, there's this thing called voice memo. That's usually in the utilities. And you just click on voice memo, and it looks like this. It's basically like a really simple recorder. You could just use something like this, or you could use GarageBand or Pro Tools or something more powerful. I tend to use GarageBand because it's real easy to use and it has some cool effects. But this is pretty cool just for recording yourself. And what you want to do is record the process so that if you come up with something, then you can capture it and then go back and hear what you did. Because sometimes you come up with a good lyric idea, or you come up with something cool like in terms of picking, or something a little unexpected happens. And then it's real easy to forget what you were doing. So the difference when you add a minor chord in is you have all of a sudden you can make the mood dark. Because when you're doing GCD, it's kind of hard to make that sound really dark because it's all major chords. I mean, you can if you strum really slow, like, let me say something depressing and I'll show you what I mean. Like, let's say, I'll say like life was dead. That's a pretty depressing thing to say. And I'll say it over these chords and you'll see what I mean. Like, you could try to make it depressing or darker, but it's just not gonna happen. So like, alright. So life feels dead because I need a little more words. Life feels so dead that I can't breathe. As the darkness churns about. You can do it. Like, I'm trying to sing some depressing stuff. But as you can tell, it's still major chords. And I was singing deep for some reason because it sort of sounds more depressing. There's actually one trick that I know, like, you can make stuff a little more depressing if you're using GCD. If you strum just the bottoms of the chords, so you get out even the bright higher parts. If you strum like this, you can make a pretty sad song. As the light dims, I can't hear you. All I see is your shadow pass into dark. So like, you could try to make a sad song using GCD, but it's not really going to work. But then when you bring E minor in, so the whole point of this is to show bringing E minor in. So imagine all of a sudden with just that one minor chord, all of a sudden you sort of have a lot more possibilities. And you don't have to make a super depressing song. I was just giving an extreme, but already like E minor 0 2 2 0 0 0. Like that's pretty depressing. So I'll sing some depressing stuff and like when life seems as though it's falling apart, can't scream. So like now you have all of a sudden that one minor chord just opened up like a whole new world of what you can do. So I'm not gonna sing like that. I'm just gonna try to do what I did last time. I was just making up really depressing lyrics to illustrate the difference. Like that, those lyrics, singing like all this depressing stuff over E minor, like totally makes sense. I went to C. You could go to G, but then you can go back to E minor. Like totally fits. But I'm not gonna do that. Instead, I'm gonna start with GCD, kind of like the last video I posted, and then I'm gonna go to E minor for another part and make it a little darker, because people are using minor chords in really happy songs. It's just to kind of color it different. So I'm just gonna do the same process from scratch again. So what I talked about in the last video is you just start mumbling stuff. I'm gonna start on G. Could start in E minor, but I'm gonna start on G so it feels like kind of the last song. And then I'm gonna go to E minor for a part and like sing darker stuff. And then go back to G. So one other thing is sometimes it's helpful to pick a note. So I'm gonna start mumbling stuff now, and I'm gonna hit my recorder and turn this on. In case, because last video I did, I came up with kind of a cool idea and then I forgot it because it happened. I didn't know what I was doing, so I'm going to turn on record and just let it go in case I do something and I need to find it. So it's recording, so I have no idea what I'm going to sing about. I really have no ideas right now at all, so I'm just going to start saying stuff until something kind of clicks. I can't see this from now. Well, one other thing I'd like to show is last time I was kind of singing. I was singing like more like talking, and I'm not really that good at singing. But the other style of singing, you can kind of hold the notes longer, and that can be interesting when you switch chords. It can be good, like. I'm not a singer, but I find that the singing I do, like, it helps me play guitar. Because, like, when I'm playing, like, from the experience singing, you kind of think about what you're doing different. So one thing, instead of, like, in the last video, I was saying more, like, straight up words. Like, I'm going to kind of hold the note. My song's probably not going to start out like, sometimes when you're making up songs, like right now what I'm doing feels like it's going to be a chorus or something. I'm not going to worry about like, is this sensible for the beginning? I don't have any ideas. So if this sounds like a chorus, then I'm just going to turn to a chorus and come up with something later. trying to show right now is I'm holding the notes. I can't feel you drift away. So I said, I can't feel you here as you drift away. So I'm just going to write it down. So it's kind of sad. But notice I'm holding the notes, and it feels way different when you do that versus like singing like cut words. So I'm just writing it here. Normally I type up lyrics because it's faster, but so I can show them here, I'm just gonna write them. So see, I already forgot what I just did. And it's not because I'm like brain dead. It's because, and I've done this a lot, it's because like, unless you're really in the zone with what you're doing, like it just slips by. So fortunately I have my recording. So I'm going to pull this up. So it's recording. So I have no idea what I'm going to... See, now I can hear what I was just doing. So what I figured out there was that so I come in on feel like right here. So if you look at my lyrics, what was throwing me off, and this happens a lot when you're doing music, I have I can't feel, but the G comes in on feel. So what I need to do is write G right there, and then I either need to start singing those words with no chords, or I need to have like a lead in. So those will be pickup beats. So I'm going to write C above there. So see, it says C. So really like I'm trying to start on G. But notice like the reason why I couldn't figure out what I was doing is because I was trying to sing I can't on starting on G and it didn't feel right. So I have two options. I can't feel you. I can either sing like I can't and then come in, or I could have like you could have like an intro like do this a couple times before you come in. I can't feel you here as you drift away. So see, I'm holding the notes, and notice I'm kind of struggling a little bit. So let me show one thing. In this case, if you're kind of struggling to sing, like you could either try to move the melody up. But I have a lot of people ask me, like, what's the point of a capo? And let me see if I have my capo. So one of the points is exactly this problem right now where, like, it feels strained. So I'm going to put it on the 2nd fret, so it's going to move the whole thing up. Now it's probably going to feel better, because I can sing a little higher. It was just a little bit too low. And I like the feel of having the chords, and then I can't feel you here as you drift off away. So now it feels way easier to sing. So that's like a good example of where you can bring a capo in. Alright, so I'm going to do like one more line with these chords, and then I'm going to go to E minor. So I can't feel you here as you drift off away, but the memory of you, dear, but the memory of you, dear. And I better have my thing going because I'm starting to explore like melody ideas right there. You see how I sang up higher? Like that's the kind of thing that you totally forget. And I'm not recording right now, which is bad because I probably just forgot it. So I'm going to start recording again and see if I can do that one more time. And then I'm going to go to E minor, and you'll just start to feel the difference, but you have to really do this process yourself. All right, so I can't feel you here as you drift off away, but the I kind of remembered it. Okay, so you kind of have the vibe. It's like kind of sad, like when I'm singing. So I can't feel you here as you drift away, but the memory of you, dear, makes me. So if you kept with G, C, D, it would work. But if you go to E minor, which I'm going to do now, all of a sudden, like, it will just feel way different. And then I'll go to D, so the song will just have like a different feel. So I gotta sing it again. I can't feel I can't feel you here as you drift off away, but the memory of you, dear, makes me want to stay. So it makes me want to stay. So again, like, unless you do this process, you're not really gonna like internalize this. Like, and it will help with guitar playing. It will help with other stuff because, like I said, I don't really sing, but you just internalize this feeling of shifting chords. All right, so let me do it one more time. And that's probably almost enough, and then I'll give another example with E minor. I'll take the capo off, but partly because I think I started coming in on this note, so that's why I need the capo. I have a hard time in G. When I'm playing in G, it goes out of my range real fast. So usually when I'm in G, I put a capo on the second fret. I can't feel here as you drift off away, but the memory of you, dear, makes me want to stay. then you can keep going. But then I could have like another section of the song that would just start on E minor. So the point there was how much different it starts to feel when you're going like G, C, D, and then you throw in E minor. And really you got to do it, and you'll just notice it feels way, way different. So I'm going to take this off, and then another good thing to do with G, C, D, E minor is start your song, make another song. So I would start out, do G, C, D like I just did, and start throwing E minor in occasionally and see how it feels. But the other thing you want to do is, which I kind of started with, is start with E minor. What I would do, actually, I would do E minor, C, and then I would go to D, and then go to G. So I would actually give this structure to really feel the change from minor. Because what you're doing when you start in E minor, you're actually playing in the key of E minor, and then you're switching to the key of G. I would do E minor, C, because those two chords sound pretty sad. And do those back and forth, and then go to D temporarily, and then do G, C, D. G, C, D, C. If you do this structure, you'll really get the feeling really fast. Like E minor, C. Do that for a while, then do D, and then G, C, D, C. Because what's happening there is the D chord is sort of setting up the transition. So you're basically in the key of E minor. I'll write that up on top. And then there's a little transition chord because the D really makes you want to feel a G major chord. And then we're in G major. You don't really need to worry about like the idea of key change and stuff. You just, if you really want to learn to write songs and internalize this stuff, you just got to do it. So E minor, C for a while, then D, and then G, C, D, C. So I'll start out with E minor. I'll strum a little faster. The cold wind blows, I hear you scream out my name. I'll just say the cold wind blows, and then just say something on C, and then go back to the cold wind blows. You could say like a bunch of stuff. The cold wind blows, I see the mountaintops flying by. The cold wind blows, my hand won't keep you warm. The cold wind blows, I hear the children's voices from the train. Then I'm going to go to D. What I hear you say, your voice is out my ear. So, I mean, if you've written songs or you know about music, this is kind of cheesy what I'm doing, but if you've never done this process, what I just did is really going to unlock like an intuition for what's happening with music. So let me do it again. So I'm just going to say the cold wind blows. It sounds cool over that first part. And I'm going to say something on D, and I'm going to go to G, C, D. And you could make up a real cool song with this. I don't really feel inspired right now. I don't have a good song idea. But it doesn't matter. Like, you could still get this feeling, this intuition, just by doing this exercise. So, all right. The cold wind blows, and I'm feeling higher than the tide. The cold wind blows, the train has the wolves in the light. Two more times, the cold wind blows, and I'm feeling like I can fly. The cold wind blows, I'm seeing starlight. And then you go to D, but I'm never feeling tired, 'cause I feel the sunlight on my eyes. And I'll say I feel the sunlight on my eyes. So I say I'm never feeling tired on D, and then I feel the sunlight. So I was doing like the cold wind blows. Because that kind of fits with that mood. And then, but I'm never tired, because it's like, it's gonna go. The D kind of gives you like this build up. So you can imagine like this tired guy like in this cold environment. And the D is like setting up, and then I feel the sunlight, because GCD is like going to be bright. So one of my students who's more advanced, he like after a few years he kind of finally got what I'm trying to communicate here. Like it's just kind of intuition for like the patterns, emotional patterns in songs, and how people kind of use these. I wouldn't say they're cliches, because everyone, like all the good songs do it too. Just they kind of, you know, like they'll go like the minor beginning, and then they'll go to the build up, and then the major part 1-4-5 like GCD, and then they'll like descend it down back to a sad part. And he found this funny Family Guy, I think it was, like where the Family Guy, like the main character, is like kind of doing what I'm like, he's singing his mood like based on the chords, and he's saying what chord he goes to. So anyways, it's pretty funny. If I find it, I'll put a link to it, because it kind of is what I'm trying to explain. So see, the cold wind blows fits with E minor C, and then you like have this build up on the D chord, which transitions. D has like a pull towards G, and then I feel the sunlight, because like the last part's happy. And you could fill out these chords, these lyrics. So I'll do it one last time. I mean, you could just do what I'm doing and kind of get the feeling. And then maybe write something cooler if you feel inspired. Alright, so the cold wind blows, and I'm seeing stars rushing by. The cold wind blows, there's a lone wolf howling at the sky. The cold wind blows, and I miss you, but I can't feel your side. The cold wind blows, and I feel like I'm close to dying deep, but I'm never tired, because I feel the sunlight. Its warm rays fill my eyes. And then to get back to E minor, you can just go straight to E minor. There's not really a trick, but people like to do descending things, like, or you can just kind of stop on any chord and then go back to E minor. So like, but I feel the sunlight fill up my eyes, clear the past, could just stop on C and go back to it. So that's pretty much it. Like, adding that E minor from the GCD is like a huge step. Like, if you're really gonna start internalizing this stuff, because it's just different. Like, when you're copying other people's songs versus really kind of internalizing these basic concepts. So I'll make some more videos like this and start explaining like how this actually works in terms of music theory. But I find that, like, unless you have this experience, then when you hear the music theory, then it just sounds like it's not tied to anything. So I'll kind of go through this process again. Like, I think I'm going to do another video and show all 7 chords in the key. And then after that, I'll start kind of making it more advanced. But if you have this basic experience, and like, let's say you write 10 songs with G, C, D, and E minor, then when you start hearing the music theory, it actually makes a lot of sense. Like, it's just hard. Like, this, I've only been able to convince some of my students to actually do this, and a lot of them don't feel comfortable singing. But it's kind of night and day for the students who actually do this. It's like all of a sudden they're on a different plane. Like, when I'm talking to them, they actually get it versus just kind of imitating. So, yeah, the main thing is just not to really care and not take it too seriously and just to do it and have fun with it. Or else maybe, like, you know, if you're not a shy person, just go put it out there. So if anyone has any questions, let me know.